So you just conducted a workshop, right, about the film criticism. Yep. How was the session going so far for you?
Well, it's been great. Must say, I like that we adopted a quite interactive approach. So participants asked many questions, and some of them were related to the craft, the art of reviewing, but at the same time, we spoke about the general trends in cinema, exhibition, the massive influence of superhero flicks on today's film landscape. So overall, it's been great. Tomorrow we'll be focusing on more practical aspects because I've asked some of them to write a review. So the goal is to help them to let their voice, their unique voice, to emerge. Because as I said repeatedly over the course of the workshop, there's not right or wrong. It's just you as a viewer in a professional language, you try to share your take on a film, your viewpoint. And that's most of the work we do. So no, overall, it's been great, and I look forward to tomorrow's meeting.
Tomorrow, yeah, the last session will be tomorrow, right? And like because you have like a comprehensive experience, and also as a journalist for Cine Europe, and your bylines are everywhere from Variety, Reader's Digest, and a lot of media. I want to ask you something because you mentioned about the unique voice that we have, right? When we talk about films, we write about films. So what do you think about the roles of film critics toward the film industry or film ecosystem in general, especially in the digital era, where a lot of film critics are easier to be accessed by wider audience? What do you think about this?
Well, as I've been saying lately, the fact that the digital landscape is expanding at such a fast pace is two-sided. On the one end, there are many more opportunities in places where one can write or share their takes on film or cinematography, whatever. On the other hand, everything is a bit more fragmented, chaotic, difficult to grasp. So it's like a huge creature expanding at uncontrollable pace somehow. So film critics in all of this paradoxically see their role diminished, but also strengthened. Strengthened because we have, though we should do much better, a bit more inclusive critic scene. Until, at least in Europe, until probably 20, 30 years ago, most of the critics were old men, most of them very grumpy. While now, luckily, we start seeing a bit more diverse voices. It's not enough still, I believe, but the path at least is better. And this means that you can get, when you read a review or a film-related piece, many more voices. On the other hand, we need to help these voices, especially the good ones, to emerge and flourish. And the landscape is so big and chaotic, and this makes things very difficult, I must say. But it's also good because we see other new forms of criticism emerging. I mentioned the example of video essays published on, for instance, Little White Lies or Sight and Sound. These are great, and they emerged because of the technical developments we have. Because of the availability of films one can get from a laptop, from a tablet. So it's not bad. And last thing I want to add is probably critics could become more important in the future for one reason. Since we are living in an age overloaded by content, and the demand for content is just growing, as much as they don't invent an algorithm to replace my job and put a robot to review stuff. I hope it's not going to happen, but who knows. We will become more and more important in guiding the viewers in selecting content or researching for some things that they can be barely interested in, because, you know, it's the Netflix syndrome. You just log in, you see 6,000 titles, you're with your friends, and you spend 2 hours deciding what you're going to watch, and you don't watch anything. So obviously we're not God Almighty, but since we watched already the film, if we become trusted voices, people can have a bit less hard time in choosing their picks.
So I think from what you say that the role of film critics is really big because now we have a lot of contents. We have, people can access film from anywhere and anytime right now. And sometimes we are overwhelmed with a lot of choices, a lot of options, like you said before. And actually the important role or the crucial role of being a film critic is you amplify your unique voices. So it helps audience or other potential audience like to pick and choose a movie. And like you said before, I think it's interesting to see a lot of people right now who maybe are not having educational background in filmmaking or film writing or film study or cinema study. They make their own video essay or, like talking about films like me, for example, like I don't have educational background in films, but we are in the same spirit of loving the spirit of cinema. We are loving the spirit of storytelling that, cross any border, a nation, like the spirit of Europe on screen, like Indonesian people can watch a lot of European cinema. And so this is gonna be like my next question. So we need to like amplify our unique voices, right? As an audience, yes, but also if we want to learn to be proper or like film critics. So what do you think? What are the first essential steps that people need to do to becoming a sharp film critics, like to help them like, amplify their unique voices even though they don't have like formal background in cinema?
Okay, first thing, study history of film. Does it obviously watching as many films as you can is good, but it's not only about the quantity, or it's not always about the quantity. It's about the quality, knowing how the cinematic expression developed. Also, you're one person, you have 24 hours, you can't watch all the films. It's impossible, you need to make a choice. But if you study history through some nice textbooks and then watch a selected filmography of the main authors, that's already great, because indeed, at least when you watch a film today, you don't find everything so revolutionary because you find out that it's been done in the 70s already, for instance. That's one thing. Be curious, always. Be curious, and not just curious about film, about anything in life, or at least certain fields, because the risk is to become too film obsessed, like a solo cinephile who doesn't know how the outer world works. I was saying today, if you want to watch Ken Loach film and write a good review, I think you should know the price of the milk in Birmingham. I mean, it's about knowing the outer world, why those people are in this condition, why, I don't know, in Sorry We Missed You, we see that there is this guy who doesn't have even the time to pee to complete his last delivery. This is really important. This is about life. It's not even so much about filmmaking. So don't make the mistakes to abandon social life, interactions, other opportunities to learn and discover new words, new people. That's essential. Don't be shy, because otherwise you won't get work. You need to be there, present, show yourself. It doesn't mean being arrogant, but being confident at least, and knowing that, okay, I'm a young critic. I don't have huge experience, but I can bring a small added value to the industry. I'm here. And don't hesitate to ask questions then, because indeed we have this saying in Italian, nessuno nasce imparato, which means nobody is born learned or who knows everything in a way. It is so. You need to ask around. You need to make mistakes. So that's really crucial. I managed to make this job my full-time profession after 4 or 5 years of pain, I must say, or rejections. It wasn't so easy. It's not impossible. I was getting some gratification along the way, but it's hard. And and then when you introduce yourself to an editor, be brief and bring in already 1-2 ideas, because they don't care about your background so much, or about the amazing films you've done, things you've done in the past. They need to know why, as a business, as a publication in that case, they need your work, and they need now.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, David. So yeah,
No
basically,
problem.
film is all about life, right? So we have to stay curious, not only curious about films, not only curious about other stories, but we have to be curious in life about life itself. Because I believe that to becoming a good film critics, you have to understand a context around film that you watch,
Exactly.
right? So we can see film beyond what we see on our screen. And this is gonna be my last question, because you also said actually it's one of the essential step to be a film critic is you have to be curious and you also to be confident, right? Because you have to like put ourselves out there, and
Yeah.
maybe we can meet right people at the right time. So what is actually your suggestions beside you already mentioned before that you have to be curious and also to be confident? Do you have any suggestions to like people who start writing or as a film critics as a full-time job, maybe coming into the film festivals, or like joining a workshop like the one that you maybe you have any other tips too that we can share?
Well, one thing is that is fundamental, essential to start is to start writing. So I would say start working for a publication, possibly a good, serious one. It doesn't have to be big. It must be serious, though. So it's different. You work with real people that can give you some feedback on what you write.
Okay.
And this thing, you should do it always paid, unless you do it for free for a very limited amount of time just to start, because you can't find anyone else and you need to start filling your portfolio. But after that, you set up the standard, you need to get money, because otherwise it will never become your profession. If you become free or cheap, good luck. It's not gonna happen. That's the problem. This market works this way. It's better to reject a cheap work and do another side job for the time being while your rates gradually increase than accepting any random stuff. Also because some editors are very bad, and they can even, or publishers, they can even always say, even if they pay you very little, but we do pay. The time is there. So that's one thing. Create your own portfolio, even on a free website or Macrack. It's a great platform, actually. I would recommend it. And it's free. Then start reaching out. Obviously, what is very successful is to provide something timely, local, possible exclusive, or not so easy to access. I understand in the beginning this might be difficult, but local stories can be brought to the attention of bigger publications or other local ones, obviously. And especially in the beginning, don't hesitate in doing even works that don't look so appealing. Not all the interviews will be so pleasant. Not all the films will be so great to review. Actually, no, there are still tons of awful movies to watch. And but it's part of the game. I mean, on the other hand, every day is not the same, and it doesn't get boring. So, and then, if you have free time, go to festivals, go to workshops, or to places where you can form connections, either with people who like you are starting off, but more importantly, with people who are in this industry or who can give you work. Definitely nobody will find out about your great writing talent if you stay home. That's for sure. It's very obvious to say, but sometimes people forget it. And this is not only about journalists, even artists don't understand that there is always a financial side of things, some kind of sense of business you need to develop to a minimum one. Obviously, I'm not a multinational firm. I'm just a guy who pays his bills with this. But still, you need to be business orientated. Otherwise, you start making very poor choices and you don't go ahead.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, David. So basically, all people can start to be a film critic as long as they love films, they are curious about life in general, and they are confident, and more importantly, they start writing and
Exactly.
going to film festivals and all. And also, you mentioned earlier because I think when you are get paid professionally as a film critics, it is a line that you cross between film critics as a hobby and also like a full-time job. So yeah, it's possible for everyone, I think. So thank you so much, David. I think that's all the 3 burning questions that I have right now, and it's really, you know, enlightened me and also all of the listeners of Nostalgia right now. So yeah, thank you so much, and don't forget, Nostalgia listener, to watch Europe on screen. We have the offline and online version starting from 16 to 30 June. So we have a lot of various films, more than 70s, 50s.